Just a working session.
Like say those white school buses, if some of those people hook up a trailer on those and pull, if you hit a certain weight, then you can't, that's the
Right.
combo, that's the same thing that you
Yeah.
run into. Not that I'm ever gonna. I just have for school bus, really.
Back up.
Yeah, in case my drivers get sick.
We ready, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. We'll go ahead and call this working session of the East Peoria City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Hill?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Sutherland?
Here.
Mayor Call?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tonight's working session, of course, no formal action will be taken by the council. This is for discussion purposes only, and we are going to cover the fiscal year 2026-2027 city budget. Tonight we'll be focused on the operating side of the budget. And without further ado, I will turn it over to our finance director, Jeff Becker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start with just a couple of things. Salaries in here are at 2.5% increase for this year. And also there's no new positions included. As you said, we'll be going over the operations budget and then we'll do the capital in 2 weeks. With that being said, I'm going to start with this individual sheet you have in the marina. Touch on that real quick. If you look on the left-hand side of the income, projections are pretty flat on the revenues. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see most of the categories, the expenditures stayed the same. The biggest increase you'll see is purchase of equipment, about 3/4 of the way down. That's at $300,000. So they're going to get a new forklift this year at the marina. The other ones we've had to redo the cylinders a couple times on them, and they've been there since the beginning of the marina, and they're a little tired. So that puts us in the deficit and income versus expenditures. Fortunately, we have cash in the bank, and we have enough to cover the difference. So there'll be no loan or anything for that purchase. We'll just pay cash for that since we're in the position to. The folks down there, Brad, Heather, and Justin have been doing a great job and working hard down there and really got things turned around. So we're excited about that. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I don't, but before you move on, I just want to point out how much I appreciate Brad and their staff, and just so this council knows, we're going to bring before the council on the next agenda another 3-year contract with Brad and his staff to manage the marina. Any questions for Jeff on the marina's budget? Here, none.
Okay, so next on our list is Public Works. Since Mr. Chrysler's not here today, I'm going to go over his really quick. Starts on page 29. The first thing you'll see is there was an admin fee that we eliminated. After some discussion and the way things have changed, we no longer need that.
Jeff, do you want to explain that to this council, because they weren't part? Well, Dan was here
Commissioner
when
Decker
we
would have
did
been.
that.
So when Jeff Eater was here, we created an admin fee for some of the stuff that he was using to spread the cost around. There were some other things in place that were overlooked at the time, and the mayor and I went through and looked at. We already spread up some of the legal bills, other fees. Some of the people in the accounting department are paid for by water sewer that do the billing and the collection and other stuff. So really this was kind of an overreach, so we're going to fix that and go ahead and get rid of it to more fairly spread the costs out. So if we go down, you'll see most of the things are flat. Maintenance is up a little bit on vehicles. If you flip to the next page, so he's got an increase on the water meters quite a bit, up to 550,000. It was 10,000. So the meters have been failing. If you remember, those were put in probably 15-ish years ago, maybe more, before my time. So what happens when they fail, they slow down to the point till they come to a stop. So that we don't know until they go down, or if they start getting too low and the reads flag as unusual, we'll go out and check them and see. But we're going to be replacing those over the next 3 years, as many as they can per year. So that additional $500,000 is to get started on that process. This year on the operating equipment, he's got $200,000 in there. And then you also see that other admin fee eliminated down in the sewer department. And then the rest of the sewer department was mostly flat. And then on page 31, you'll come down, and this is where some of the maintenance costs are and stuff. We have money in there for pipe, sewer, and water. And then the last part is bond and interest, so that's the water treatment loans. And then there's still Centennial Project and another water treatment one that's on its last payment, that's $65,000. And then those will all be done. Does anybody have any questions I can try to answer on Cord stuff since he's not here?
I think he owes you.
Probably.
Yeah, just happened to be sick.
Next up, we'll bring up Mr. Tucker for his first time here, so take it easy on them. We'll start on page 4 with vehicle maintenance. Looking at this, there's not really any changes here. The budget's pretty flat. They're getting a 2.5% increase, but otherwise that whole budget only went up $2,700. Next will be garbage, which is on page 10. Again, there's the increase in salary. If you go down, the biggest change you'll see is a decrease in the operating capital from $350,000 to $15,000. So they had purchased a truck in the prior year, which had caused that difference between years. And then final section would be the street budget. It's going to be on page 15. At the top has the revenue, and then you'll come down and see salaries again at 2.5%. And then as we go down the page, it's pretty much flat. The capital's not in there yet. We have a couple projects we're going to put in there this year. Otherwise, the rest of those have remained pretty much flat. Brett, you got anything you want to add on your stuff?
No, I do not.
So in the capital thing, not to spoil it for a couple of weeks, but there's some stuff we need to finish up on Pinecrest with the third phase of that, and then paving the center line for the whole length between 74 and Muller Road.
Any questions for Brett? No? All right, thank you. Thanks, Brett. That was
Corey Brown. I'm not going to help you like I did Brett. You're on your own.
Corey's on his own.
Corey, his budget starts on page 21.
Good evening.
no. There you go.
Good evening. So we'll start on the revenue side of things for East Side Center, page 21, like Jeff said. Some of the exciting ones on there. So for the revenues, you can see going up in field rental, and that's due to field turf that we've been investing in, obviously. So got another big year coming, so we're going to see that number continue to go up with those investments we've made. We're booked every weekend after Easter, starting in April, so it's been a big effect. We've gotten some new events and some new tournaments, so that numbers continue to grow. So we're excited about that. Other increases, so healthcare dimensions, that's our silver sneaker population. Down in the gym, fitness memberships have stayed fairly flat. Indoor rentals continuing to go up. We're still booking some weekends that we haven't in the past, so that went up just slightly. And then the other big one is food and beverage. So with the additional tournaments and rentals, that food and beverage number has gone up in the revenue side of things too. So everything we're doing up there seems to be working. Again, it's a full calendar for the coming up outdoor and indoor season. So yeah, we're excited about the revenue side of things. Any questions on revenues? And then we'll go into expenditures here. So we'll start with the rec building. Salaries, again, 2.5%. Some part-time wages going up, that concession one going up somewhat substantially. Again, with the more tournaments, more events, those are longer days and more hours for people to work food and beverage. As the revenues increase, you see an increase in those expenses too. Contracts just up slightly. Part-time wages up slightly as well. So that's the rec building side of things. And then with the food and beverage too, so concession food and beverage, that expenditure's gone up as well. As you increase the revenue that you're bringing in, you got to spend a little bit more money to have the food and all the supplies on site. Questions on the rec building side of expenditures? Moving on to the fitness center, this stayed relatively flat for the most part here. Salaries up just at 2.5%. Part-time wages just up slightly with some increase front desk and MOD stuff for either nighttime events or group exercise classes. But for the most part, we stayed flat. We added a little bit into building maintenance and it's aging facility, so we try to pick things up as we go to do some things in-house, whether that be pads, weightlifting equipment, paint, whatever the case may be. We've made a couple changes so far this year. Our fitness manager has to redo some of our spaces, so with that comes a little bit of a cost, so we propose to increase some of those maintenance and repair line items. Questions on the fitness center? Then lastly, for Eastside, the outdoor operations, relatively flat again, the salaries and some of our part-time wages. With the turf, what we've noticed, we were hoping some of those part-time wages to go down pretty significantly. It's hard, there's less maintenance to do, but it's hard to not have an army of people up there to do all of these events and, garbage, food and beverage, fields, et cetera, just facility upkeep. So you add weekend events, you still need people to work those events and be up there to, make sure we're doing a good job and providing a clean and safe environment. So has cut down on some maintenance costs, but you still got to have that 8 to 10, 12 or so part-time employees to be up there to work those weekends in the summertime per day. So, questions on East Side at all? Then we'll go a couple pages in front here, page 24, and then we'll move into hotel, motel, and we'll start with the revenues. Jeff, if you want to comment on it, but the hotel, motel taxes just relatively flat, but that number's been good for us, obviously, over the last number of years. Festival of Lights Foundation, so the Winter Wonderland receipts, down slightly from years past. We just had the 40th anniversary last year, so numbers were down a little bit for the 41st, but they'll still stay in that 220 to 225,000 range. Float
Hey,
sponsors.
Corey, just real quick, I do want to point out too, just so the commissioners are aware, maybe they figured it out on their own, but we had 2 weekends that were brutal conditions that really affected our revenues this year as well.
So missed a Friday evening and then 2 Saturdays. So you think that's your 12 to 15,000 more dollars in the revenue area there. So that was part of it, yes. So then again, Thanksgiving being late, it's kind of a shorter season too. We're up against that again this year in 26, but still popular, still extremely busy up there.
I think Jeff wanted to
One more thing on the revenue with hotel motel, just so council knows. So the hotels and the TIF do not show up in here. Those funds go back into the TIF to pay the bonds. So the 2 Holiday Inns, the Embassy, so those hotels, that revenue is not showing up in here. That stays in the TIF, just to make that clear. So when those bonds are paid off, those revenues will come back, and that number will go up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just curious, when is the expiration of the Embassy's TIF?
I would have to look for sure, but I think the bonds are out to like 2032 off the top of my head.
Okay.
And then continuing down the line here for hotel motel, for the most part, staying pretty flat across the board. Made some changes with parade. We've kicked around the idea of adding a year-round part-time staff member to help with some festival stuff. Again, just in conversations about that, as the volunteer window is not closed necessarily, but we definitely don't have those die-hard folks who are there year-round, all week long type thing. So something that we've been discussing. Parade funds and expenditures about the same. Winter Wonderland about the same. Again, we've got that big rental cost to the park district. City grounds maintenance downtown, proposing to increase that a little bit just as we add more, not more facilities, but beautify our facilities out here. It just takes a little more upkeep and time. Then capital improvements is the big one. We've kind of been around that $500,000 mark for the last few years, so that's just kind of a placeholder. I think we haven't gone all the way through potentially what we're looking to do with that monies yet, but for the most part, expenditures and revenues fairly flat in hotel motel. Any questions on hotel motel tax?
Just real quick, just out of curiosity, on the city park thing, where we had budgeted 20,000 in our actual to date so far, we're not at the end of the year, is 25,327. Do we know? Not that that's a big overage, but I'm just curious because I see we budgeted 20,000 again this next year.
Yeah. So most of it was those irrigation issues that we were
Okay.
having, that we've mitigated
what
a
I-
lot of them.
what I
We do
thought.
want to do that project in the spine to get that up and running, so that'll be a cost in the spring.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that, after that last phase, that the irrigation is buttoned up and ready to go properly. And, we've worked with TCI too on some things to help get it buttoned up. So it was neglected for a number of years, or maybe not, I'm not going to say the install was not done right, but we kind of, as you change the park and you inherit those things, there's been rerouting and 2 different companies working on the irrigation. So the big cost this year was to commercial to fix some of those bugs that we had. And then again, for Tracy as well, Master Gardener, who's taking care of the park. So
She's done a phenomenal job. That was
Yeah.
one of the best decisions, I think, out there, so.
Yep, so we've paid her to take care of some things too, so that was part of that cost. But with the hopeful that irrigation costs will go down, I'm confident that 20,000 should cover it.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Questions on any of that? All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Next
Corey.
up, we'll have Chief Zimmerman with Fire and ESDA, and that ESDA budget is on page 6. And just so you know, the fire's on page 9, because the ESDA one's going to go quick.
Hey, Chief, your mic's off. Yep, there you go.
Is that better?
Yep.
All right. Good evening. Page 6 with the ESDA. Maintenance went up $500, and the operating, which is what actually we use to buy the sirens, went up $10,000. It's just reflective of where we're at the cost of the sirens. The Paradise siren is slated to be replaced in this fiscal budget, along with one the following year, and then we're good for several years. The city's done a great job in maintaining those sirens. Any questions on ESDA?
$500, man, you blew that budget out.
I know, just a little bit. We got to replace some batteries. And then Fireside, page 9. As Jeff indicated earlier, 2.5% raises. That's factored into the salary line item. And every other line item is the same as last year.
Short and sweet. Any questions for the fire chief? No?
All right.
All right, thanks, chief.
I think it might be a record. Next up is Police Department. And that'll be on the previous page, page 7.
What page did you say?
Page
7.
Okay. Hey, your mic's not on. There you go. Just press the button. There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Like you said, page 7, there's not a lot here to go over. We got our grant overtime and our animal control lines both went up, but those are both reflective of actual contractual costs. Down to 045, our utilities line, that went up. That's reflective of the new PD, and largely an unknown as to what that's going to end up looking like. Just quite frankly, we don't know what that's going to be. So we are taking our best guess at it. To 070, other operating expenses. That went up a little bit, but that is where we took the money to pay for the meridian barriers for the 4th of July and the Festival of Lights. A very significant increase in our security. I think those were a great move, and we'd like to continue doing that. So that's where that's going to be. 115, motor fuel and lubricants. That actually went down, and that's just an adjustment to actual costs where we're projected to be for this year. And 184, canine expenses. That's an additional 25,000 that we're asking for there because we have our oldest canine is expected to retire this year, so we'd like to have it replaced with a new one. And that is all I have.
How many years are they in service for? I can't remember.
It depends. Usually, if you can get 6 to 8 out of them, that's pretty good. And I think Django's been out there for about 8.
Okay.
Yeah, if just off the top of my head. So he's been a phenomenal dog for us.
I remember it feels like Storm was, I know it wasn't, but it felt like 10 years or so, but
Yeah,
It goes quick, unfortunately, but
it does.
yeah,
It
we
does.
appreciate their service. Any other questions?
Questions?
No? Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
So I'm going to bring up Ty and Jason for planning, community development, and building maintenance. And that is going to start on page 3 at the bottom. Page 3 at the bottom.
Good evening. So we have actually kind of two budgets we're taking a look at here, 1030 and 1050. And what we've done is kind of move some items around. This is Jason Shell. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to introduce him to the council. I think most of you have met him. Jason's been with us for at least a few years, but he was a great transition to move into the facilities manager position. He's been taking the ball and run with it. He's got a lot of great ideas to perform as much as we can in-house as far as maintaining. He's got an HVAC skill set, among many other things. We just made an offer to a new hire, hopefully, that will also kind of augment that and really be able to further do some more in-house work for the city and keep up on all our facilities. You know, we have, over 100 plus locations. I mean, there's a lot of buildings and maintenance to take care of. So largely what we did with the budgeting is we shifted over, so 1050 is now going to be a purely facilities maintenance budget. And so we moved over the inspections. There is a reduction in salary there. We no longer have a part-time inspector. One of the things that we're trying out in the inspection side is to have a contractual inspector. We have somebody on board here as of the first of the year. So far, it's going very well. But we've been well served with contractual inspectors on the electrical and plumbing side, so we're trying that out on the building inspection side as well, too. The other items that really have substantially changed, there was a reduction in on my line item with the contractual efforts. The comprehensive plan is now completed, and so that number has been kind of taken down from 90,000 this past year to 25 this coming year. We do appraisals and plat work out of that line item as well, too. But with the comprehensive plan, now that it's completed, we'll be working with the ZBA and the Planning Commission to bring items forward for the council to consider some action items from that report, from that effort. Also, code enforcement, we moved over the demolitions as well as the code enforcement staff to the planning and community development, so that 1030. So that's largely what we did on as far as the operating side of things. I don't know if Jason wanted to share any of his thoughts as far as things moving forward, but I know he's got a lot of ideas. There's some things we're going to talk about capital-wise. I know it's already been discussed, and a lot of good things coming forward with the maintenance of the facilities.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Hit your button.
I do plan on moving, as we move forward, doing a lot of things in-house more than outsourcing. So we have been talking about getting a scissor lift. That is something that I feel the last few years being here that we've really needed in order to get things done on our own. All the garage doors and all the facilities. We could take care of all that kind of stuff ourselves. We don't have to rely on other companies to come in and do it. So I think big savings that way.
Good. All right, thank you.
I think that's all we got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, this is my favorite part of the night. We're going to do cleanup, so hold on. It'll be a quick ride. So if you want to start on the bottom of page 1, we have governing body, which is all the elected officials except for Commissioner Sutherland. His stuff comes out of water and sewer. Reflects a 2.5% increase. You'll see all the items on the first page remain flat. If we go to the next page, the only actually nothing did increase there, that's flat. Then we go into legal, that remained the same. Same thing with boards and commissions, which is our police and fire commission. And then the next section, I'll let Morgan chat real quick. Most of hers are the same, but she can explain, she's got a new item on there this year that she needs to do to get some stuff in compliance.
So the only item that has an increase, and this is just an estimate, so it could be well below that amount, it's $5,000. There's a mandate to make the website ADA compliant beginning April of 2027. So we already have some software to keep the website itself, but this would be PDF remediation where we upload documents. Then, so PDFs, we're just estimating at $5,000 to bring some items up to date, and then in the future going forward to keep those in compliance. Just an estimate, like I said, it could be well below that, but everything else remains basically the same.
Yeah, to that point, so this is one of those you don't have a choice. You're required to do it, and we have to be compliant by April of 27. And as it stands now, we have a meeting coming up with Civic Plus. We're going to redesign the website, so now's the time to do it. And told Morgan to make sure it's in the budget.
Yeah, it's kind of like the street maintenance plan. So we'll come up with a plan, and it won't be 100. I mean, you won't be 100% going forward, but it's planning to get as good as we can.
Yeah.
Working toward 100% compliance.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Morgan. Okay, so the next part is city administrator. You'll see that again, the 2.5% increase. The contractual service went down a little bit. We had some money in there last year with the new HR director coming in. We didn't know if we were going to have a gap or the timing of that. We didn't end up using that, which was good. Further down, you'll see under the operating expenditures. So that went up. It's usually $100,000. We have in there for some capital. We had some extra money this year for the America 250. We're not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but there's been some discussions on things that we can do and participate. So there's some funds there for that. The next is accounts and finance. Again, the 2.5%. You'll see most everything else stayed the same. Insurance for the health insurance actually went down a little bit. The last year or two, our utilization has been a good spot. So we dropped that a little bit. It's one of those things that you never know. It could go up or down at any time, but we're going to try to realize that this year. And then we're going to flip to page 5, IT. Contractual went up just $5,000. And then IT project, which is our Tyler software and stuff, it went up just a little bit. Otherwise, the rest of that was flat. Give me 1 second. Page 11 is Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. That stayed flat. Page 8. Wait a second. I'm sorry. Fund 7, page 11 was IMRF. Page 12, which would be Fund 8, fire pension. You see that has gone up a little bit. And then the next page is police pension on page 13. That too had gone up just a little bit this year. Both funds had a great return last year and on track this year to be above estimated. So both of those look really good. Page 14, bond and interest. If we didn't catch it last year, the biggest change here is the bond payment on the police department. Otherwise, everything else there is pretty much the same. And that's at bottom line 5261 and 5262. And then we're going to jump to page 16 is the audit. Nothing has changed in that fund. Page 17, street lighting has remained the same. Page 18 is Social Security. That has pretty much remained the same. Page 19 is workers' compensation. Our actual this year was a little higher than budgeted. But we're going to keep the budget the same for next year. We had some open claims and stuff and some settlements there that weren't current that we settled that caused that to go over this year. So hopefully we won't have that same situation next year. Page 20 is unemployment insurance. We have always budget for. We've not really had to use it much, fortunately. Page 23 is the marina TIF. You'll see that revenue's up a little bit down there. Part of that is when the city sold their portion of the building, and then we're still putting $650,000 of that TIF money paying back Riverboat Gaming every year from funds that had happened during the construction of that. Page 26 is going to be Fund 25, which is Camp Street TIF. At the bottom, you'll see is where all the bonds are. Looking at the top, a lot of it's remained the same. We had a little bit of a street project out there last year with our portion down there by Batteries Plus. Page 27 is West Washington TIF. Again, you'll see at the bottom where the bonds are. And then as far as operating, we have some money in there for engineering as we look at Center Street. And then you'll see in a second here in gaming where some of that construction cost is going to come from. Page 28 is a new riverfront TIF. We've put funds into this again. We only spent less than $5,000 last year on some attorney fees, but hopefully as we get moving down there with some development and some different things, we'll start to utilize those funds this year. We're going to jump to page 32, which is motor fuel tax. We're spending 1.5 out of there this year. Normally it's 1 million. You might ask why last year it was 2.2, but we had some of that RBI money left that was also down in there with that project by Lowe's and Batteries Plus that was remaining that was in there. So that's where that additional money came from. And then finally on page 33, you'll see Riverboat Gaming. You'll see that new 2.5 million line item there. That is the money for Center Street for the improvements down here. And you'll notice down below the decrease of the 2.5 million that was utilized at Eastside Center last year outside. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of the budget items?
Just understand this is operating side. We'll do capital in 2 weeks. Any questions for Jeff? Any comments from the council?
I think it's one of those funny things every year. If anybody's watching this in the public, this is the first time that we've seen it, so we're not commenting much on it just because we're trying to read through it and figure out everything that's on it. So we've got plenty of time to review it over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, because we'll come back and discuss the capital, and then, of course, then it all blends together, and we'll come back, so we got ample time to discuss and make any changes.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick. So the first reading of the adoption won't be till the second reading in March, and the second reading will be the first one in April. So we still have quite a while before this actually be put in front of council for adoption.
And I can't remember, are we having, is the capital, is it next week prior to the council meeting, or is it the following week?
The following week.
Following week, okay.
Any other comments from the council? Hearing none. Comments from the audience? Hearing none. I would seek a motion to adjourn the working session.
Pause it, Mayor.
Yep.
I have this first.
Yep.
I have one item, Mayor, that we need to mention. Mr. Mayor, I move that a closed meeting or session of the City Council be held at the conclusion of this regular meeting to discuss following matters according to exceptions provided in the Open Meetings Act and specified as follows. Section 2C11, litigation. When an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when a public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Very good. Commissioner Decker, may I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mingus? Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. And now I'll need a motion to adjourn the working session.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye,
Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
We are adjourned until we meet again.